Hey friend, welcome back. In this video, I'm sharing the process of how I painted the still life composition titled Pumpkin and Nail. This was part of a food painting challenge hosted by the lovely and brilliant artist Alai Ganosa, and the original photograph reference was shared by the fabulous artist Kylan Ch. I hope I pronounced their names near correct. You can find links to their channels and social media in the description below. It took me about 5 days and a total of 25 hours to get this complete. So to shorten the whole process by editing around 100 GB of 70 video footages into a 13-minute video seems like a daunting task. But here I am sharing my learning and highlights with you as I paint this composition called Pumpkin and Nail. On day 1, I had already toned my canvas with burnt sienna and some yellow ochre. Then, using the grid technique of 36 squares, I had loosely sketched out the composition freehand with a flat bristle brush, blocked in the pumpkin with turquoise blue and the apple with a muted tone resulting from mixing what was on my toning palette. On day 2 that you see here, I started to work on the initial layers of the apple using Naples yellow, some warm colors and muted browns. I also spent time blocking in the darker tones, especially of the table and background wall, using Van Dyke brown and burnt sienna. Then came the pumpkin. I started with chrome yellow deep hue, a semi-transparent pigment, and gradually built orange reds by mixing in cad yellow pale, cad orange and red, all higher in opacity and tinting strength. I use a cool tinted Naples yellow in zones to prevent the warm colors from clashing too much. I have not painted in oil since May of this year due to the rains, but this was a great challenge to get me out of the inertia with oils. For the core of the pumpkin, I follow the same principle, but in reverse order, starting with a deep red hue, a warmer vermilion, and mixing a gradient through building association with the yellows to form warm and cool muted oranges. I use some of the same mixed hues to start building colors into the skin of the pumpkin too. From the start, my vision was to flip the underpainting colors, turning cool blue and warm red into a final image with a warm, vibrant pumpkin against a cool blue background, while carefully adjusting contrasts. I probably did way too many layers to get there, but I enjoyed the process and tried to keep the end vision in sight. I also feel each layer below adds character to the layer above, depending on the hue, how transparent or opaque they are, or how much they peek through from below. At the end of the second day, I had accomplished the first pass of colors. The difference between day 1 and day 2 on the painting was showing. The next day, I did more of the same, which is layering, but building with thicker paint to medium ratio now. In fact, some of the low tinting semi-transparent colors were almost straight from the tube. I also bring in burnt sienna again at this stage to darken the warm red edges. I use a semi-transparent crimson hue to deepen some of the red in the core of the pumpkin, slowly building depth and dimension. I continue to layer the table linen and background with a muddy white and giving more form to objects. At some point, I introduce the slightest hint of turquoise blue in the background to start feeling comfortable to make the transition into the complementary blue background that I wanted. One of the fun parts was to start using a round brush in some places to already start detailing. For example, the remnant strings of the hollowed out pumpkin. Fun fact, did you know that these fibrous strands are called funiculus and connect the seeds to the inside of the pumpkin's flesh? They play a vital role in delivering nutrients to the developing seeds while the pumpkin is still growing on the vine. On day 4, I start with a contrasting blue background. I mainly use Campbell's turquoise blue, a convenience color from the tube. It is different from pure cobalt teal pigment, PG50, which is very expensive. This turquoise blue from the tube is a mix of phthalo green, phthalo blue, and titanium white to lend it that cool, light value opacity. I have some deep Prussian blue to mix with cool red for making purple. It helps break up the background monotone. Also, the yellow hues in the pumpkin that will come through eventually will complement beautifully with purple. I use a similar approach but more muted blues for the table linen because they tend to be in the shadow. At this stage, I also keep going back to detailing some of the objects, like this apple, working on the shadows in the core or highlights in small areas with a round brush. I go on adding my next layer of colors onto the pumpkin skin and fruit. On day 5, I add in the final details in the foreground objects and adjust my blending of the background till I'm happy. Only after removing the masking tape did I realize I had forgotten the nail in Pumpkin and Nail. I added it in as a last minute fix, and with that, the painting was complete. Friend, thanks for watching and following along. If you enjoyed this process or learned something new, do give it a like and leave a comment. Don't forget to check the description for more links and details of the artists that I mentioned. They are absolutely wonderful. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy painting!